Greetings, sanibonani, dumelang, ninjani bakwethu niyaphila, abushweni. I hope you guys are well. Ngiyathemba niyaphila ngani zakwethu. Welcome to the live. My name is Debos Khosana, and the name of this platform is Izwi Labansundu. Izwi Labansundu, it means a voice for the Africans. Welcome to this platform. It's a platform that I'm trying to build. It's important, guys, that we build our own platforms. It's important that we as Africans, as black people, we build our own platforms as an alternative to the mainstream media. So our topic today, what I'm going to be talking about today, it is the issue that has been unfolding right in front of our eyes. A campaign that is spearheaded by organizations, mainly it is two organizations, which is Operation Dudula and March on March. Of course, I trust and believe that you guys do follow the news. You've been following the news. You've seen Operation Dudula and March on March going into public health facilities. Public health facilities, mainly in the township, because it is where you'd find the people that we term illegal foreigners, or just mainly foreigners, but mainly it is those who are the Africans, and of course you get others from the Bangladesh and others, the Pakistans and all of that. But it is mainly the facilities that are located in the townships. Those are the facilities that have seen this activity where Operation Dudula and March on March have been going there and preventing foreigners from utilizing those facilities. The question I'm posing to you guys is, do you guys agree with this type of action? Do you guys agree and do you guys support this action by Operation Dudula and March on March? Because of course they've also advanced their own reasons. Operation Dudula and March on March, they've advanced their reasons as to why they are resorting to this type of action. Greetings, KK. Welcome to the platform. Let's have the engagement. So do you guys agree with that action? Because Dudula and March on March, they say that already the South Africa's health facilities are already overburdened. And I think anyone who resides in the township, I'm not too sure about people who reside in the villages. As I drink my water, it's important, guys. You must drink water, guys. Water is very important. Actually water is a human right, right? It's a human right that everyone must have. So I'm saying that people who reside in the townships, who use the public health facilities, meaning here I'm referring to people who do not have medical aid, for them to access the private, the private healthcare, will attest to the fact that our public facilities, the public health facilities, are already overburdened, are already burdened. In some instances, you'd have people have to wake up and leave their homes as early as 5 o'clock in the morning. In summer, and in some instances, some areas, it's even before 5 o'clock in the morning, to go and queue in the public health facilities, the clinics that we find in the townships. This is caused by the fact that those facilities are overcrowded. Can you imagine having to go to a public health facility, having to go to a clinic, waking up at 3 o'clock, okay, and leaving the house by 4 o'clock? You start queuing there by 4:30 or 5 o'clock. And the clinic is only opening. It is only opening, meaning it is starting to work at around 8 or 8:30. You see? Greetings, John Koza. Welcome to the platform. So it means if the clinic starts working at 8:30, and where now you've been there from 5 o'clock, it means you've had to stand on the line, right? We had to stand on the gate, in the gates there for 3 hours. Welcome, Peter Kahui. Welcome to the platform. So now you can understand that there's 3 to 4 hours of you just standing at the clinic while the clinic is not yet opened, because you want to be at least to be one of the first people who get assistance there. People resort to that because they understand that if you leave the house by 6:30 or 7 o'clock or beyond 7 o'clock, the likelihood it is that you'll get to the clinic. You're going to spend an entire day at that public health facility because of the queue. Sometimes the problems are also compounded by the shortage of staff. In those public health facilities. And we know that the shortage of staff, it is something that is caused. It is something that is caused by the austerity measures. What are the austerity measures? Austerity measures, it is the fact that the government, because of its loyalty to a particular ideological outlook, which is the neoliberalism. Neoliberalism talks about applying austerity measures, meaning you have to cut public spending. Okay? So when you cut public spending, it means governmental departments, such as the Department of Health, will then find themselves in a position whereby they have to service millions and millions of community members. But the staff complement, in terms of the ratio, does not meet the demand that is out there. You can imagine if you are going to have a single nurse, a professional nurse, who on a day has to attend to 30 people from 8:30 or from 8 o'clock up until 4 o'clock. Within that space of time, that single poor professional nurse having to attend to 35 people, you're surely guaranteed that you're going to have a compromised quality service. It means the quality of the service that will be rendered there will be compromised. Sometimes it's not compromised because this nurse is incompetent, but because the demand and the burden on that single nurse, it is too much for a human being to be able to handle. You then end up with a situation whereby cases of negligence and recklessness become the order of the day. They become the order of the day because this nurse has to attend to 30 people in a day. It means due diligence. The nurse no longer has enough time to give each patient the attention that they require. Then that in the process compromises the quality of the service. That's what you get to have. And of course, you still have nurses who themselves are doing this type of work, but they do not love it. We cannot run away from that situation. You see. So now, enter the foreigners, the foreign nationals, documented and undocumented. Now, it means the workload becomes even worse. The workload becomes even worse for these nurses or these professional health workers to be able to attend. So for you as a South African, it means if you don't start queuing at that public health service, healthcare facility as early as 5 o'clock, then you're running two risks. You are running the risk of having to spend the whole day at the clinic. And by the time they get to you, sometimes they've run out of medication. So you've spent the entire day at the clinic, but you come back without having received, having not received the services you had gone there for. That's the first risk that you run. The second risk that you run, it is that you might have to spend the whole day there and still not be able to get in. Because by 4 o'clock, the clinic closes. Then you must do what? Then you must come back home. Therefore, your constitutional right as a South African, your constitutional right to healthcare service has been compromised. So, the foreign nationals, them now coming into the system, meaning they are overburdening a system that is already overburdened. And we know what happens when you do that. The likelihood is that the system will then collapse. The system will then collapse. The system will crash. Then who will then suffer the consequences? Who will then suffer the consequences of a system that will then have collapsed? Because the politicians and the others, the middle class and others, they can afford the private health care through the medical aid schemes. But majority of the working class and the underclass, because remember you've got the working class and you've got the underclass, they cannot afford that because they barely make enough for them to be able to make a living for themselves. So if the healthcare system therefore collapses, it is this very same black South Africans who are in majority who are going to suffer the consequences. I think it then leads to that question that I spoke about, that do you agree with the actions by Operation Dudula and that organization that is called March on March? Because these are the people who are saying, but guys, we do not have enough ourselves. We do not have enough ourselves to be able to share. You see. So then we've got a situation where we can get foreign nationals who are so arrogant. And this has to be understood when I'm saying the foreign nationals. I'm not applying a blanket approach. But there are those, especially when it comes to the clips that we have been shown. There are those foreign nationals who are so arrogant, who you can tell that they've got this sense of entitlement, right? They've got this sense of entitlement to say, by hook or crook, they have to get assistance. They have to get those public health care services. Even if it means this has to happen at the expense of Black South Africans. There are those, even on national televisions, they've interviewed some of those people. You could tell from their tone, you could tell from their own conduct, that somehow, for some reason, yes, we are all Africans. Yes, we are all Africans. I'm talking about the people who come from the continent. But we cannot run away from the fact that currently, the current context that we operate within, there are borders. There are borders, and there are rules, and there are laws that ought to be applied to ensure that there's law and order in the country. You see? So imagine this. You've got people who have come into the country illegally. Those that we call illegal immigrants, those who are undocumented. They, of course, by the fact that they've decided to cross the border and come to the country illegally, they've already committed a crime. So now are you saying that you're going to prioritize those people at the expense of South Africans, law-abiding South Africans in their own country? It's all well and good for us to be talking about the Pan-Africanism as an ideology, the ideology of Pan-Africanism. Of course, I myself, I'm a Pan-Africanist, you see. But at the same time, we need to be real. To say Pan-Africanism on its own, it has to be, it cannot just be South Africa that practices Pan-Africanism while the rest of the continent is not following suit. As I've already alluded, the fact is that we do not have enough resources to be able to accommodate everyone. Therefore, we are running a risk of now going to have clashes over the limited resources that we have in the country. That's what has to be understood. And even the government officials and the political leaders, especially those who claim to be Pan-Africanists and others, I think before we label people xenophobic, before we can label people xenophobic, we need to put ourselves in their shoes. Because the government leaders, political leaders, and others who may be referring to Operation Dudula, March on March, and others as xenophobic or Afrophobic, it is because they themselves, those who are laying the charge, it is because they themselves do not use these facilities. Whenever they are sick or their children are sick, because they've got the medical aid, they go to the private health facilities, of which is the same thing that Dudula and much have been saying, that these foreign nationals, they should then rather be using the private health facilities. Those facilities are there. Sometimes those facilities are empty. Okay? So I think it's also a plea that I'm making even to our own African brothers and sisters, that please, you guys ought to understand that in the current context, you guys are guests. As I said, that my name is Tebo, my surname is Khosana. I cannot be as Khosana go to the Dlaminis, get to the Dlaminis territory, get to the Dlaminis yard or Dlaminis house, and I start demanding things that are meant, you see, things that are meant for the Dlamini household. If I get to the Dlamini household, I'll have to appreciate the little that I'm given. If I'm not given, I have to understand that I am a guest. I'm finding myself there. I'm a guest. And as a guest, there's a certain behavior. There's a certain behavior and conduct that is expected of you as a guest in terms of how you conduct yourself. You see? So that's what I'm saying, that our own African brothers and sisters who are coming from outside the borders of South Africa, they need to understand this. You see? Because them being hostile to South Africans, them having this disdain for black South Africans, that thing just worsens matters. It hardens the attitude of South Africans against them. You know, a few weeks back, some organization representing our African brothers and sisters from the outside of South Africa, of course, they've got different formations that are operating within the country, decided to take the Department of, yes, the SAPS, yes, and the Department of Health to court. I still remember the matter was set down in the Durban High Court, the KwaZulu-Natal High Court. Was it in KwaZulu, in Durban, if I'm not mistaken? Now look at the danger that this organization committed by that. This is an organization that represents, and of course an organization by people who are foreigners in this country, legal and illegal. They take the host government to court because they want the host government, and the host government in this case being the South African government, because they want the South African government to act against South African citizens, who are raising valid points and concerns about the conduct of the very same foreign nationals who find themselves within the borders of South Africa. That on its own can easily be read as declaring a war. Can easily be read as declaring a war against the host country and its people. Another risk, embedded risk, that this organization and its members were so oblivious to, it is that you go to the court, and I remember when you go to a court of law, you must expect two outcomes. Can be a defeat or a victory. They didn't stop for a moment to ask themselves that what happens if they go to that court and they do not get the desired result. Okay? Msawake Ntila, welcome to the platform. With Pambili Operation Dudula Pambili, and I will vote for it. So, okay, thank you for joining Msawake. So, the point I'm saying is that if they go to the court, then they suffer a defeat in the court of law. That on its own will embolden the people who are already fighting, people who are already blockading the foreign nationals from using the public health facilities on two grounds. Firstly, on the ground that we are declaring a war against us as locals. We are accommodating you here. Then we tell you that we do not love certain or do not like certain things that you do. But what do? You decide to take us to court over those things, meaning that declaring a war. That's how it can be read or misread. Dazzle, thank you very much for joining. He says, Viva Operation Dudula. Thank you for joining, Dazzle. Another matter, another risk, it is that where if you lose that court battle, then that will then legitimize an already valid and legitimate concern by the people. Then people now can begin to say, but even the courts of law, Even the courts of law are on our side. So that's why I'm saying I don't understand how some of our African brothers and sisters, how they think. Do they even apply their minds before doing these things? You see, because it is important that for them as guests, as a guest, you ought to understand that there are certain privileges that can be extended to you or can be taken away from you. Greetings, Robert Prentice. He's saying deport them. Welcome, Robert Prentice. So, I then with the comments here, the sentiment, it is very clear. People are unhappy with this. People are unhappy with this. And simply labeling people xenophobic or Afrophobic will not address the core problem. Will not do anything to address the core of the problem here. Because at the core of the problem, it is firstly the corruption by the officials in this country. We cannot run away from that. Because the people who get into this country illegally, some of them, they pay bribes to the officials. Okay? Some of them are even drug dealers in this country. They bring drugs and substances that destroy our country. We cannot run away from that. You see? Another factor is also even the employers, the white monopoly capital in this case, that has decided to employ these foreign nationals at the expense of South Africans. Because these undocumented foreigners cannot demand certain rights that are guaranteed by the constitution of this country and the labor law of this country. So they know they can change them. Therefore, they're creating competition between the South Africans and these foreign nationals. And we have seen on the news. We have seen on the news where the Department of Labor, Home Affairs, and the SAPS, they do raids. In one factory, you'd find 300 foreign nationals that are being employed in that factory. Whereas as a country, we are complaining that there's this high level of unemployment in this country. How do you justify some of these things? So the fact is that South Africans, especially the black South Africans, are frustrated by what they see unfolding right in front of their eyes. Our children have become zombies to the drugs that are transported into this country by foreign nationals. You see. So I think it's a discussion that needs cooler minds, but just dismissing people as xenophobic and foreign nationals, it shows that the leaders, people who claim to be our leaders, they are out of touch with the reality and out of touch with what we are confronted with here as a people. You see. So guys, thank you very much for joining me. So I'm hoping to be able to do this from Monday to Friday, that at 1 o'clock we have discussion or this type of a conversation. I'm terming it the lunchtime with Debos Kosana. Each day going to be dealing with a different subject. At some stage, you guys will even be able to suggest the topics that you want us to touch on. You see. So Lindan Duna, thank you for joining in. He says, hi there, I support Dudula because there's no way all illegal people can do whatever they please in other countries. Viva comrades, viva. It's a valid point that is raising. We said, if we are xenophobic, then why they are still here, even illegal? Again, it's a valid point, a valid question that Msawake is raising. So guys, please guys, as we close this video or this live, please guys, help me grow this platform, guys. Please remember to join. Please become a member. There's a join button there. Please also remember to buy me the super thanks so you can be able to build this platform, guys. And remember to subscribe, guys. And remember to share the platform with other people, guys. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. I really appreciate it, guys. Suggestions are always welcome, guys. So yeah, thank you very much, guys. Siyabonga ma Africa man. Izwe lethu.